You want to upgrade to Apple's latest 11 or 12.9-inch iPad Pro, but you want to hear feedback from someone who's actually taken the plunge. Well, in this video, I will share my experiences with you on my upgrade from last year's 10.5-inch to this year's 11-inch, and draw comparisons, both good and bad, in comparison to that 10.5-inch. Let's get started. What's going on, everyone? It's Mike from Tech247.tv, bringing you the best in unboxing and technology reviews to help you make informed buying decisions. Here on this channel, we go through a lot of analysis of the bits and bytes that transcend technology and find their way into your pocket, in addition to reviews just like you're watching here. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. Like many people who watched the keynote, Apple's showmanship almost had me throwing my credit card at the screen, screaming, "Take my money," while they showed off a new iPad that had slimmed down bezels, updated design, Face ID, and significantly increased performance on the CPU and GPU side. My second generation iPad Pro is still a beast no matter what type of work I throw at it, so I think at this point, if I'm going to upgrade, this is a matter of convenience and not necessity. For me, my top three conveniences are going to be the updated design that shores up the bezels while adding an edge-to-edge display, the replacement of Touch ID with Face ID, and then adding USB-C connectivity for charging and all the peripheral support. As someone who takes public transportation to work every day and often finds myself needing to take a computer home, my goal is to keep my everyday carry bag as light and as minimum as possible. And with that, I chose the 11-inch iPad Pro because it has nearly the same footprint as the 10.5, and in my opinion, the 11-inch does not have that kind of awkward feeling of being when it's held in the hand as the 12.9 does. Like last year, I did stay with the 256 gig version because I felt that 64 gigs would be too much of a stretch with my type of usage. But unlike last year, I decided against getting the LTE version because I found myself more often connected to Wi-Fi than I wasn't. Starting with the design, I was a little bit surprised after unboxing the iPad and holding it in my hands for the first time because the display is not nearly as edge-to-edge as I expected it to be. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think it's more iPhone XR and less iPhone XS, if you kind of catch what I'm saying. There's a clear reduction in the top and bottom bezels, which is evident when you place the last year's iPad side by side with this year's iPad. You can very much see a slimming down, but it's not like wow, at least that's how it came across when watching the keynote. The reduced top and bottom bezels now create a uniform look on the iPad, making it very nice to look at in addition to hold in your hands. On that topic, Apple did a tremendous job fine-tuning the palm rejection algorithm because you can be holding the iPad with one hand and start scrolling with the other, and there's no confusing the iPad what you're trying to do. This year's iPad Pro features Apple's Liquid Retina display, which very simply is just an LCD panel, but it is a tremendous example of why Apple is a leader in the LCD space. The display itself is very bright, it's very viewable and from many different angles. It's also viewable in many different lighting conditions. When you're looking at the display, it's very crisp from normal viewing distances. Thanks to ProMotion, the display is incredibly responsive and fluid while you're browsing a website, while you're watching a movie, or even drawing in Procreate. I found the colors to be extremely accurate and vibrant, and I attribute this to Apple's support of the P3 color space on the iPad Pro. Even though it's not HDR certified, watching a few movies, the color reproduction, and how dark the blacks were, I was extremely satisfied with it. Along those same lines, while watching a movie or listening to audio, you'll find more robust audio support in each of the four corners where Apple added a tweeter. If you're familiar with the iPhone X, you will find that the gestures on the iPad Pro are intuitive and very much familiar. If your iPad is sleeping, you can tap the screen twice and it'll wake it up, initiating Face ID. From there, you swipe up from the bottom and that will get you into the iPad. You can swipe up from the bottom and pause to bring up the dock. You can long swipe up from the bottom, that will bring up the app switcher. And you can force close the app by swiping the app up. On to Face ID, which is just a complete delight to use, whether it's unlocking your device or submitting your password for an app or even a website, it just works. But seriously, there are some annoyances which I attribute to either user behavior, like covering the camera, or the app not being fully optimized to run either with Face ID or on the iPad Pro. It's amazing how integrated Face ID has become just in over a year. I mean, I'm already walking up to my Mac thinking that I'm going to be able to unlock it just by tapping the spacebar twice, and I get frustrated when it doesn't. Then I realize this isn't my iPhone or even my iPad, and why it doesn't work. As for accessories, I purchased a Smart Folio keyboard, the Apple Pencil, and a number of dongles to connect to different things that I have, #DongleLife. I really like that Apple kept the key shape and size the same as they did last year. So if you're coming from last year's model to this year's model, you should have no trouble quickly adjusting how to type on that device. Additionally, what's great is that Apple now supports 2 different orientations that the iPad can rest in. It's like this relaxed kind of couch orientation, and then a more of a I'm sitting at a desk orientation. With the good comes the bad, meaning that you cannot prop up your iPad without having the front keys exposed, and you cannot hold your iPad in your hand with the keyboard folded behind you without feeling those keys on the back. This is a pain because both those options were available last year, and I know many people didn't like the origami-like folding keyboard, but it seems like it was a kind of a good trade-off. I would much rather have just the one viewing angle than the 2. As for the Apple Pencil, I did have the chance to use it very briefly while editing some photos in Lightroom. It's got a better shape to it. I can tell you it is more comfortable to hold, but the experience, I wouldn't say complete, because Lightroom 1 isn't updated for the new iPad, and 2 doesn't have the gesture support in the iPad. I would really love to see some type of gesture on, like you have on the Pencil, to tap and maybe go to and from a different tool. That would be great. Lightroom, can you get on that? I am very excited to see the Apple made changes to the way that the Apple Pencil pairs and charges with the iPad Pro. I mean, it's been like very kludgy since the beginning. You have to plug in the pencil. You have to take the cap off. Let's not forget about the cap. Take the cap off, plug it into the bottom, hope that you don't lose the cap or break the pencil inside of the iPad. It's really bad. But nonetheless, it's changed, and I think everyone's a happy camper now. A couple other things that I am enjoying at this point is one, being able to use one power brick to charge all 3 of my Apple devices. So I can use my MacBook Pro charger to charge my Mac, charge my iPad, and to charge my iPhone, but I still need to carry 2 cables. You lightning cable, damn you. And one final thing that I am enjoying is using the iPad Pro as a power source and being able to charge my iPhone. Also, I'm not sure if you know this, you can charge a number of other things in addition to your iPhone. So you can charge your iPhone, you can charge another iPad, you can charge another Android device, you can charge a DJI Osmo, you can you can charge a number of things. After 48 hours, it's clear that this is a significant upgrade from last year's iPad Pro, and that those upgrades will have the ability to dramatically impact the way that people work. All that said, I'm hard pressed to recommend a new iPad Pro to someone, especially coming from last year's model, because I can't think of too many ways that your last gen iPad Pro is going to be taxed where you need to upgrade. I would love to hear from you in the comments below, letting me know your thoughts on the new iPad Pro. What features or functionality are you looking forward to in the new iPad, and is the high cost deterring you from upgrading? And if you're interested in purchasing an iPad Pro, we are dropping our iPad Buyer's Guide video in the next few days, so go ahead and click subscribe, ring that notification bell if you want to get notified when that drops. So thanks again for watching, and if you're new here, click that subscribe button that you see on the screen. Until next time, Tech 24/7, where we're all about bringing you the best in unboxing and product reviews to help you make informed buying decisions.